This video will reveal the story as told by Trutz Hardo, a renowned author of books on reincarnation, by his friend Powell. The story is presented as Mr. Hardo acting as the narrator. Powell, an American friend, leader of seminars, and publisher of various books, confided this story to Mr. Hardo during an annual book fair in Frankfurt. Do you know something, Tom? This is what my friends call me. I can tell you about a case of reincarnation that is so extraordinary that it could surely turn every skeptic into a dedicated follower of reincarnation. Even so, I am not inclined to give away the names of the respective couple and their son, so the actual names will be changed. I am sure you know this couple, at least by name, since he is a famous author, and he and his wife run seminars in the whole of America. I would have loved to know the name of this couple, but I was not going to encourage Tag to break his promise to them. Even so, I asked, does he run courses on spiritual themes, like reincarnation or astrology? No, interrupted Tag. He is a bloody scientist, and one of his books has become a national bestseller. He is owner of many patents. His wife is also a scientist and an author. The couple in question had a son whom I shall call Michael. When he was a baby, he desperately wanted to hold his father's Rolex watch in his hands. He kept reaching for it again and again. As soon as he could speak his first words, he pointed to the watch and said, "Mine." One day, when his parents called him by his name, he pointed to himself and said, "Sonny." He insisted so long and so forcefully on being called Sonny that his parents soon gave in and agreed to his wishes. A few months later, the young nipper said, "Me, Sonny Ray." His mother was immediately taken by this name, which, after all, meant Sunray. So from that day, she called him My Little Sunray. One day he told them that he had a wife whose name was Dawn, and that they had both lived in Texas. They mainly listened to classical music in the home of his current parents. Yet, whenever the radio played a country and western song, Michael would sing along. And to their amazement, he even seemed to know the words. One day Michael was looking at a book about dogs with his mother. All of a sudden he pointed to a white spaniel and called out excitedly, "That is my dog, Willie." His parents never seemed to seriously consider that their son could be talking about something from a previous life. Sometime later, when the boy was 7 years old, the couple was running a seminar in Texas. One of the people taking part was Don Ray. During a break, Michael's father started a conversation with the woman and asked her whether she was married. She told him, "I have been a widow for 8 years. What was your husband's first name?" "Sonny," she replied. The couple then looked at each other in amazement. Then he asked the woman whether she would please come to their hotel after the seminar, because they had something important to tell her. When she got there, they told her that they have a son who claims to have been married to someone called Don Ray from Texas in a previous life. "Did you own a white spaniel?" asked Michael's mother. "Oh yes, that was our Willie. He and Sonny were inseparable." Mrs. Ray now was determined to get to know Michael. Michael's parents phoned home to arrange a flight for him, and 2 days later, the 7-year-old was able to fly out to be with them. They did not tell their son over the phone why it was so important for him to come to Texas so suddenly. After collecting him from the airport, they took him straight away to Mrs. Ray's house. When she opened the door, the boy recognized her immediately and called out excitedly, "Dawn." He stretched out his hands and ran into the arms of the dazed Mrs. Ray, hugged her, and gave her a big kiss on the cheek. Finally, everyone sat down in the living room. Mrs. Ray, who was still skeptical, asked Michael whether he knew this house. He did not recognize it. She explained that she moved into this house 2 years after the death of Sonny. Michael then asked her whether she had kept his guitar. Mrs. Ray was highly amazed at this question. She went to a cupboard and took out a guitar and placed it into the outstretched hands of the little man. Michael held the instrument like a competent guitar player. After a couple of tries, Even though the fretboard was not the right size for a 7-year-old, he began to play and sing a well-known folk song. This especially amazed his parents, since to their knowledge, their son had never played the guitar. Then, he asked Mrs. Ray, whom he now addressed as Dawn, whether she also kept his watch for him. She fetched a box in which the watch was kept. It was a Rolex identical to the one his father was wearing. Then he asked her for his camera. His parents first wanted to know exactly what it looked like. When he had described it, Dawn fetched it, and it perfectly matched his description. Also his pipe, which he wanted to see, had first to be described by him. Tag closed his reports with the comment, "I would have loved to have been witness to that evening." "Me too," I agreed. "Gosh, Tag, that is really an incredible story. The best bit is yet to come," he continued. Dawn sold her house and moved in with the family in California. She looked after Michael, since his parents were often away traveling. When she moved to New York, Michael missed her so much that even though he was only 14 years old, his parents agreed to let him live in New York with her. They have lived together ever since.